Chapter 1, Section 5. Our I can statement is that I can add integers. First, we're going to look at how we would use a number line to find the sum of two integers. If we were to add -6 plus 2, visualize your number line, and we always want to imagine we start at 0. So from 0, we would travel to -6. From -6, since we're adding 2, that means we're moving 2 to the right. You can see that we end up at -4. Therefore, -6 plus 2 equals -4. Helpful hint: to add a positive number, move to the right. To add a negative number, move to the left. Let's look at what happens if we add two negative numbers. On our number line, we would travel from 0 to -3. Because it's a negative number, we are moving further to the left by -6, where we end up at -9. -3 plus 7. Travel left to -3. Add 7, so go back to the right 7 spots. We end up at +4. -2 plus 4. Left to -2. Add 4, travel back to the right 4 spots. We end up at +2. Now let's look at what happens if we don't use a number line. If both signs are the same, so either both positive or both negative, we simply add the numbers and make sure if they're both positive, our answer is positive. If they're both negative, then our answer is negative. If the signs are different, we look at the absolute value of the two numbers and take the sign of the larger number. So with 7 plus -5, 7 is the larger absolute value, meaning we would make it a positive number, and then we subtract 7 minus 5 to get 2. In the case of -7 plus 5, 7 has the larger absolute value, so we take negative as the sign, and the difference is -2. A couple examples for your notes. 1 plus -2. I know the absolute value of 2 is greater than 1, so my answer will be negative, and then I subtract 2 minus 1, and I end up with -1. Example B, the absolute value of 8 is greater than the absolute value of 5, so the sign will be negative, and 8 minus 5 is 3, so it's -3. Keep in mind you can use a number line if you're having a hard time visualizing this. And example C, both of these are negative, so my answer will be negative. -2 plus -4 is -6. A couple more examples to look at. Let's look at what we would do if we needed to evaluate. Remember from the beginning sections of chapter 1, to evaluate means to replace the value of the variable into the expression. So in this case, we would do -8 in place for C, and -8 plus 4 gives us -4. If we wanted to evaluate D plus 7 for D equals -3, substitute -3 in for D. -3 plus 7 is +4. Let's look at a word problem. Mika opened a new bank account. Find her account balance after the first 4 transactions listed below. What you need to know is that a deposit means to put money in, withdrawal means to take money out. So depositing would be positive to the account, withdrawing would be negative to the account. So we want to visualize this as 200 plus 20 plus negative 166 plus negative 38. Well, we can group these together. 200 plus 20 would be 220. Negative 166 plus negative 38 is negative 204. Now I look at the absolute values of the numbers, and 220 is greater, so I'll have a positive number. Then I subtract 220 minus 204 and get positive 16. So Mika will have $16 left in the bank account after the first 4 transactions.